Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. We're starting a top 10 series that we'll continue to do on this YouTube channel, Small Biz Shoutout. We're still going to continue to have the Small Biz Shoutouts where we cover businesses that are, operating or startups or just small businesses and just what they're doing. Again, we have those listed in the playlist there that you can listen to, but we have more scheduled and they're coming up. But we're also going to be doing top 10 items that will hopefully help people who are considering or interested in business in general. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to go ahead and get started on our first top 10 series. And we're going to cover number 10 and number 9. And our top 10 list for this starting series is top 10 things to consider before starting a business in 2021. And again, before we jump in and get going, I want to encourage you to click the subscribe button, click the alert button, and then also click the thumbs up button. It helps me out with things, and I appreciate you doing that. And again, if you're thinking of starting a business or know somebody who is, you want to share this video. There might be some things that they have not considered, and again, starting a business is not the same thing as doing a job, but you own the business. Completely different. So I want to give you some things to consider before you actually jump in or know somebody who's going to jump in, or if you have a spouse that's getting ready to jump in. There is so much involved with starting and then running and then making a business successful. But these are the things that you want to consider before actually starting. It's imperative because you're putting everything on the line. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, we're going to cover number 10 and number 9 here today. And we have a bonus tip for you, by the way. I want to bring you quality and value for your time here. And again, this bonus tip is what you're about to embark on. Is this a hobby or a passion, right? And there is a difference. Sometimes it works out that you can have a hobby that is your passion. But again, a lot of times it doesn't necessarily align there, right? So, the things that you want to ask yourself, are you passionate about the business that you're considering starting, right? And there's a difference between doing something that you're good at and doing something that you're passionate about, right? And again, just because you're, dinking around in something doesn't mean that you're going to want to consider doing it full time and investing a lot of money and making your livelihood out of it, right? So again, that just something that you want to really pause and ask yourself. A lot of times what will happen is you'll pursue something that you're passionate about or that you're involved with as a hobby, and you do it as a business and it'll turn into drudgery, right? That's not what you want to happen, right? If you're a photographer, you don't want to, necessarily turn your hobby and passion into a business where you have deadlines and you're having to shoot things that you don't want to necessarily shoot, but because your client is demanding of it, it becomes a job for you and it becomes mundane. That's a lot to consider in terms of what you're getting ready to embark on, because a lot of people think if I can only do this more, something that I'm passionate about, and maybe that's not the right move. Maybe you need to consider changing a different career so that you have more energy, or maybe you have more time to actually pursue your hobby and passion, right? And it doesn't become mundane for you to do and pursue. So there's a lot of considerations in that, and I want you to really encourage you to think about what I'm saying here in terms of what that means. Then the other thing is this just an opportunity you think anybody can do? If everybody can do it, it's probably not going to be profitable, right? And so you really want to make sure that it's not just something that you can do because you're trying to get out of your current situation. Figure out a way that you can maximize your current situation in terms of a job that provides you more time or more money, and allows you to, again, actually pursue your hobby and passion. So that's the bonus tip for you. Number 10, is your business solving a major problem? A lot of times you're an accountant, let's say, right? And you have that ability to go out there and do accounting, right? But it's totally different, right? In terms of what the supply and demand looks like, right? There's a lot of accountants, there's a lot of attorneys, there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of people competing for those same customers, right? And so you might want to consider starting something that is solving a major problem that's not being addressed. And in the current situation that we're living in 2020 here and going into 2021, I think there's a lot of opportunities for that, right? So make sure you have the skill set to do it. But times have changed, and you need to consider what the outlook for the business that you're starting looks like, right? There's a lot of businesses that are going under, and if you're thinking about starting an accounting firm, maybe now is not the right time to do that with so many people, closing shop and in the financial trouble they are. You're competing for less of the pie than was currently available prior to. So maybe hold on to your position that you're currently, working in, and figure out what the new normal looks like for there. Maybe there is a niche and an opportunity within accounting that you can start in. Maybe you can subcontract out to a larger accounting firm, and maybe that's where you, make some things happen, make it rain, right? So consider that. And then another thing to consider is not just are you solving a major problem, but is the business you're getting ready to start, is it recession proof, or is it at least recession resilient, right? We're obviously, depending on who you ask and what talking heads and business pundits you're talking to, we may be in a recession or depression. Either way, it's not great, right? And so it's a good opportunity to take stock in terms of what business you're getting ready to start, and ask yourself this question: is it recession proof or recession resilient? And if not, is it something that you want to consider? Because every there's always business cycles that go through ups and downs, and again, you want to be able to survive the down cycle. And then number 9, this is critical. And again, it's pretty self-evident, but you may have these visions of grandeur that, you're going to quit your job and start this business, but you need to make sure your boo is fully on board. Is your wife, your husband, or your spouse, or your partner, are they fully supportive and on board with the move that you're considering, right? And the reason I ask that is because they're in it with you just as much as you are. Even though they may not be doing the work that you're doing in terms of starting this business or doing this startup, it impacts you, right? So again, you want to have that conversation knowing that they're fully supportive, they believe in it. And if they're not, it's better for you to take some pause, have that discussion, have that dialogue, show them how you're thinking about things, let them ask questions of you. Don't get defensive about it. I know sometimes when I ask my wife some things and for input, I get a little bit defensive, and so I fully admit that. And then when I take a little bit of time to think about what she's asking and why she's asking, it gives me time to actually digest it and put some thought into why she's asking those things. And then it allows me to address that with her as well. So just something you want to think about. Will your partner or spouse be working in the business with you? So if you've been in the situation where you've not been spending all day together, and now all of a sudden you're in the startup, which is stressful enough, and then you're working together full time and there's no breaks, you go from working together all day to going home with each other, might not be a good situation. Or maybe it's a great situation. Maybe you guys work fantastically together and you guys are going to be that killer power couple and you'll go out there and kill it. Each of you has defined skill sets in areas that's not going to bump heads and complements each other. Maybe that's the case. More power to you. Go for it. Wish you well. You need to consider that, though. It shouldn't be just because it's something to do and you're saving overhead by having your spouse do that with you. You cannot talk to your spouse the way you talk to your coworkers and employees at the job, right? Because again, you got to go home with them. So again, make sure that you understand the dynamics of what's going on there when you make that decision. And when things get stressful, you're going to take it home with you. Is it the best thing to do? It's sometimes better to, have that space in between, and maybe you can hire somebody part-time who's going to give you that break, and that you can, have a different type of conversation in terms of your wording and how you, dialogue with each other. So something else to think about. And then the other thing is, will your significant other be providing an additional source of income while you're building the business, right? Are they going to be the primary breadwinner? So it changes things potentially in terms of, if they're the primary breadwinner, it may put additional pressure on them that they may not be up for, because you're starting this venture, and it's all of those dynamics that you have to consider if they're going to be the primary breadwinner. So we'll cover some other things that might address this point as well. But again, I think that these are some things that you really want to consider before, not after you've quit your job, not after you've committed some, financials to this, but you want to consider these things before starting your small business. So do me a favor, again, click the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, hit the alert button. And if you know somebody who's starting a business and could benefit from hearing it from me versus hearing it from you, because maybe they're not receptive, go ahead and share the video. Would much appreciate it. And we will talk to you at the next video where we cover number 8 and number 7.